Hey everyone, this is the DeFi download at Permissionless 2022, brought to you by Bancor. I'm joined here by the founder of Synthetix, Kain Warwick. Kain, in case anyone's new to Synthetix, what is Synthetix?
Synthetix is a synthetic asset platform. It allows people to have exposure to a range of different assets like gold, silver, Bitcoin on the Ethereum blockchain.
So I actually got into Synthetix back in like 2019, so I've been able to watch all of the growth and progress over the years. A really bold move that you all made was you moved to Optimism, which is an Ethereum L2 about a year ago. I guess can you talk about that journey and then also I guess what have people missed about this move to Ethereum L2?
I think there was, like a lot of things in Ethereum, an expectation that this was going to be much faster. And it's been a much more protracted kind of rollout for all of the L2s, right? Like whether it's Starkware, Starknet, Arbitrum, Optimism, all of this stuff, it's very hard and it's taken longer than people expected. And so I think that has kind of lulled people into this lack of awareness where it's just been this very slow rollout. It's not like it's okay, mainnet's live, now go, right? I think the shift will be the token. So with Optimism, the token's about to launch. It launches in, I think, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you've now got this thing, right, where it's all right, this is now, people can get exposure to the network. It creates alignment. And I think with Synthetix, the reason why we made the decision early to start the shift is, you will remember, staking and claiming and everything was a very expensive process. As gas prices went up, there was a point where I think a claim was $200, which is just not viable, right? And so we knew we had to move to a scaling solution much earlier than I think a lot of other projects that might not have been so gas intensive.
And then I guess, what do you think needs to happen next for Optimism or Ethereum L2s in general to really explode in terms of growth? Because I think as of today, I want to say there's around 500 million in total value locked on Optimism, and I mean that pales in comparison to obviously what we enjoy on Ethereum L1.
Absolutely.
So yeah, what do you think helps to bootstrap that next phase of growth?
So I think it's quite interesting when you interact on Optimism with things like Uniswap, Synthetix. It feels like going back to pre-DeFi summer, 2019. Right, you do a transaction, there's no ARB bots that go and ARB the prices across different pools, right? So you go and do something in Curve, and then nothing happens in Uniswap because it's just the infrastructure and all of the supporting stuff just isn't there yet. And so, I think that the catalyst for the growth and a lot more liquidity to flow in is going to be the Optimism token, because now the OP token can be used by projects to incentivize their users to interact, for people to bridge. There is a learning curve, right? With these things. And so unless you have the right incentives, people are probably going to, be sort of, averse to bridging over and learning about, how this ecosystem works. But I think now they've got a good reason. The token and the token claim and the airdrop will be a good reason to get people, maybe for the first time as Ethereum users, to come across. But also, I think even more importantly, some of the other L1s. There are people who just have only transacted on Avalanche. Right. They came in and they found Avalanche and they're Avalanche users. I think now there is a fast and cheap and effective network within the Ethereum ecosystem, in addition to Polygon, in addition to some of the side chains that is really powerful. And I think that we're going to see some amazing stuff be built there, and that's going to drive people coming across.
Yeah, I'm excited for those users that you mentioned, where maybe they only transacted on Avalanche, and it's there's a whole nother world of DeFi you haven't discovered.
Yeah.
And with, I think, bridges, improving and becoming more reliable, I think a lot of us use Hop to get on and off of Optimism. I just can't imagine folks aren't going to benefit from that. Another thing with Synthetix I noticed lately is there's lots of teams building with Synthetix. You've got the Polynomial team that those folks just launched vaults, which use SUSD and other synthetic assets. And then we've also got Lyra. Yeah. So anything else though that we should be aware of or just be following for the next update to come to Synthetix?
I think the next update for Synthetix is going to be V3, which will probably happen later this year. It's a from the ground rewrite of the entire contract suite, which is something that we haven't done for almost 3 years. Really like start from a fresh base. So yeah, that's super exciting. A bunch of new mechanism design stuff that there's a lot of learnings out there from DeFi. Things around like governance tokens and vote locking and all kinds of stuff that just didn't exist in 2018 when we wrote those original contracts. So yeah, it's completely redesigned, going to be a much more powerful protocol.
I think like we all feel a little more at home in this market because there's like a return to rational thinking, well, some rational thinking, I'm excited to see like that first class of like DeFi OGs, which is like the likes of Synthetix and Compound and Aave and Curve. I think there's so much building and just growth ahead of us. I think that's what bear markets are for. It's kind of a return to the
noise drops. Yeah,
the noise
exactly.
drops.
The fundamentals. Look, crypto is never fully fundamental driven, right? Like there's always a speculative aspect because we are so early, right? But it doesn't need to be purely speculative and utter insanity. And I think for the last 12 months, it's kind of been utter insanity. And so having things slow down, having, giving people a chance to kind of catch up and actually like start to like learn about some of the things that exist on some of these other networks and why we've made the decisions we've made about Optimism and what L2 scaling looks like and what the post-merge Ethereum ecosystem looks like. All of this stuff people haven't had a chance to like even do. It's just there's not been enough time in the day to keep track of everything. So
absolutely. Well, hey, thanks for joining me. In case anyone's never heard this, Kain is considered the godfather of yield farming, which goes back to like they had this early incentive as an LP, which really kind of paved the way for many of us to think about how yield farming works. And I still remember the magic of learning like I can be an LP and like be incentivized to do that. And anyways, I can't imagine all the other innovations that are yet to come. So anyways, dude, I love you guys.
Thanks
Good
so
to
much.
see you.